I came back to London the other night and I hear the residue of the people outside the Israeli embassy. These people were not protesting against Israeli countermeasures. They hadn't even had any countermeasures. They were protesting because Jews by the hundreds had been slaughtered in Israel, and they wanted to wound us more. Well, they might try, but we should not accept that with equanimity. I've written in The Spectator tomorrow a demand on the Prime Minister and the Home Secretary that supporters of Hamas in the UK must be treated in exactly the same way as supporters of ISIS were. Some people thought that the claim that Hamas was ISIS was a rhetorical claim. We know since Saturday, if we didn't know before, it is not rhetoric, it is real. If you stand in Britain with a Hamas flag, you should not be allowed to be free in Britain. You should be arrested, have your citizenship withdrawn, your passport withdrawn. You should be deported, you should be sent to the Gaza and try your luck there. But you should not be given the right to insult and to taunt Jews after the death.
Wow, folks. So Douglas Murray making impassioned speech, forceful, right to the point, writing a letter, okay, to the Prime Minister, the Home Secretary, basically outlining a trifecta, that if you're waving a Hamas flag, if you're showing any type of support or loyalty to Hamas, then you should be treated as a terrorist, as we treated the terrorists from ISIS, and to link those two groups together. And then not only that, but to jail people, and then take away their passports, deport them. I fully feel exactly like Douglas Murray does, but I ask the question, is that something that can be done in a democratic country? Because where are we going to draw the line? And I think we can draw a line, and I think there can be. I just don't think that it can be done through the democratic process. Now, I know that they've got all kind of speech laws that are coming up in England, so I think in England, it possibly could occur. And if it does, okay, great, because they will make those policies, they will make those laws subject to those things, and they'll go after these people. But I don't think the British government's going to do that. I think the people have the stomach for it. The average everyday citizen in Britain does. But I think the cowards on 10 Downing Street or whatever, the Prime Minister, the Home Secretary, I don't know if they have the guts to follow through on something like that. I think they're going to cite a whole bunch of civil liberty, type of BS to say that they can't do that. However, right now, they are going and arresting people who are saying things online about transgenders, about climate, about anything else that they can think of, anything that they can deem racial or whatever. Well, why aren't they doing the same thing if it's racially motivated to be towards Jewish people, if it's anti-Semitic in nature? What's the difference there? Now, I say one thing that could be done is that, again, with public speech, merely holding up a flag, merely, protesting civilly, peacefully, shouting out that you don't like something or some things or, the policies or whatever, it's such a fine line with that speech. But I could certainly say that if that speech turns into where it's suggesting violence, suggesting harm, using words that we all know imply not niceties, but cruelty, that imply destruction, that imply violence, that imply hurt, or even worse, maiming, all those things that we can think of, then I think absolutely it's something that, could be looked into. And to say that here you are waving a flag, and if that's all you're doing, okay, fine. But I don't know how you're going to arrest somebody in England just for waving a flag unless you have something put into policy, something put into law that you can't wave that flag. Now, could you put something into law? Could you put something into policy in England that says that if you wave a Hamas flag or an ISIS flag, you're giving military support, or you're giving aid and comfort and support to a terrorist organization? That's something that has to be thought of. I'm not sure if that's something that can be done. Over here in the United States, with our free speech laws, First Amendment rights, that would be very there's just no way that could be done. They would say it's my First Amendment right to protest, to lawfully and peacefully assembly. Those are the words, to lawfully and peacefully assembly. Now, when you start chanting and using words death and destruction and annihilate, and we will get rid of, we will remove, we will do this to you, we will do that to you. You start chanting, the anti-Semitic trope or whatever, from the river, and the sea, all that stuff. You start saying those kind of things. You start intimating that your your chants, your voice, your words could be construed to the average person on the street that, that just doesn't sound like somebody peacefully protesting. That sounds like somebody that wants to incite something. That sounds like people that are looking to commit violence or are hoping that their words will be reacted on by other people out there that will commit violence or terrorist acts or commit acts of aggression. So if a reasonable person could take a look at what is being chanted, what is being shouted, what is being, when you're protesting, if all you're basically saying, if you came out there and said, we don't like the policy, we want to change a policy, we're here protesting for the rights of Palestinians, we're here for protesting for the rights of individuals, we want a free Palestine, if that's all you're talking about, I think that falls fairly and squarely under the free speech laws. I don't think there's anything that you can do about it. But you start adding things to that we want, to free Palestinians. And in order to do that, we've got to get rid of those other people, or we want Hamas to continue doing what it's doing, or Hamas, So again, the wording, and it's a very, very slippery slope when you go down this. So I think that obviously the laws are a little different in Britain now that they do have these anti-speech, anti-Semitic, anti-racial, anti-bigotry, anti-Islamic different laws that are out there that have been utilized to go after people and have the police investigate. And in some cases, people have been jailed for putting things online, for putting things on their social media pages, for making phone calls, for talking to their neighbors and then being reported upon it, and then they're being investigated upon. And the whole idea that they're talking about is the police are being used to investigate this, but where are they in terms of investigating the real crimes, the real criminals? Murders, rapes, robberies, burglaries, car thefts, carjackings, those kind of things. But see, it's real easy for the police to knock on someone's door and say, hey, you know what? Somebody said that you called somebody fat and ugly, and we've got to investigate, and we've got to take you down and see if that's really what, and see whether or not we can make a case to put you in jail for a few days, a week, months, or a couple of years. Because you just, were being, I don't know, mean, selfish, saying mean things, folks, should be protected under law. Is it right to do so? That's everyone to judge for themselves. But when your rhetoric, when your voice, when your words, when they cross over into the realm of the possibility of violence to occur, or that your words will in fact, or could in fact, incite violence, or you actually are using words to incite violence, to stoke fear, to inflame a crowd or an individual or individuals or a group, that's when your First Amendment rights fall completely away. and you don't have any more. So we'll see what happens with this letter. I'm assuming that nothing is going to happen, but Douglas is making a stand. We back him on that because I think any normal person could basically, the detractors or the devil's advocate would say, well, what happens if somebody decides to say that they want to protest a flag of another country or something else? Like, let's say you want to protest the American flag, or you want to protest the British flag, you want to protest the Chinese flag, or you want to protest, any flag that's out there. Well, again, okay, you can protest, and you can call it names, you can call all kinds of things. What if you want to say down with the United States, down with Israel, down with China? Okay, fine. No one's going to assume that you're the one, or that a group of people are out there going to go down there, okay, and take down the country of China or take down the country of Israel. But you start using other rhetoric, other words that we know that you shouldn't be using, and we all know those words, folks. That's where, as I said before, I think free speech stops. Anyways, we appreciate you taking the time to watch. You've been watching the Dr. Nasser Sheikh Show. I've been your host. My name is Dr. Nasser. If you haven't done so already, we'd love for you to hit that subscription button, smash that like and follow and share as well. You guys know what to do. Check out our other video links to our other videos here and here. My final thought is always, when you're right, and when you're left, you're wrong. Until next time, folks, take care and stay safe.